Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. First tonight, there has been an outpouring of support for a man badly burnt in an horrific distillery fire at Perth. Tens of thousands of dollars have been raised for the father of 2, who remains in a critical condition as the business braces for a tough road ahead.
After Adams Distillery's darkest day comes the trauma of having nearly lost a friend.
It's heartbreaking. The biggest thing is seeing a good mate of ours and our employee hurt. So that's the real upsetting sort of tear-breaking part about it.
Greg Longmore, a father of 2 and popular golfer, had been employed full-time at Adams for just 3.5 weeks when he was caught in yesterday's frightening workplace fire. He's still in a critical condition, undergoing surgery on burns to around half his body. According to relatives, he's recovering better than expected.
He was awake and conscious this morning apparently and talking.
And now the community is lending a hand, pledging more than $20,000 to Mr Longmore's family in 24 hours. The distillery, just 5 years old, is now facing a WorkSafe investigation. Supply contracts have been jeopardised. Then there's the emotional toll for those behind the burgeoning brand.
Seeing it go up in flames, so it's hard on both.
Although the production side of the business is destroyed for now, the tasting and function centre remains untouched. The owners stress they're still open to the public and aim to be producing again in 12 months' time.
We intend to sort of come back, with a vengeance and try and show that this won't beat us.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
6 cars used by a charity to help vulnerable Tasmanians have been stolen by heartless thieves. The vehicles were taken from Community Transport Services at Mowbray overnight. One has been recovered, however police are appealing for help to find the rest. They include 3 Toyota Camrys, a RAV4 and a Hyundai minivan, all white with a logo on the side. Proponents of a controversial $80 million hotel and hospitality school at Kangaroo Bay have been given more time to get the project off the ground. Last night, the Clarence City Council voted in favour of granting the developer a 20-month extension to substantially commence the build. Shambroad will now have until October next year to begin on-site work. The council has previously voted against the move. And a cloud of caution is still hanging over Tasmanian businesses nearly a year after the virus first arrived in the state. Tonight, we take a look at how 2 very different operations are recovering and preparing for another uncertain year.
Until last year, drought was the worst threat walnut growers faced. But when COVID closed cafes and restaurants, Phil and Jane Denning saw a different kind of dry.
Well, one distributor dried up totally. That was probably 25% of our outlet.
Now they're trying to crack a different market.
As you can see, this is a pretty good crop this year, so we're hoping that when we harvest in April, we're going to be able to crack into packages that we'll put on Amazon as well.
Hostel owner MAHMOUD remembers the COVID cruelty well.
We've closed the end of March. We virtually had nobody left at the hostel.
He stayed closed until June, kept afloat by JobKeeper and hardship grants. Bookings finally picked up over summer thanks to travelling Aussies.
We've had quite a few people at the hostel the last several weeks since Christmas, so it's been good for us.
Other backpackers in Hobart have been forced to close entirely, and Mo is already worried about the shoulder season.
But the fear is the winter, our low season, will be a lot more extended than previous years.
If the dark days return, he may need to turn to the state government again for help, but there aren't plans for another round of hardship grants.
If the need arose, the government is always willing to look at new initiatives, but what we have done is provide significant grant funding through our stimulus packages to date.
A report yesterday cleared the process of any bias. For now, the future remains uncertain for those reliant on international travel.
This is the role of government now, to work closely with local government, with industry peak groups, with unions, to make sure that we can support people to maintain their jobs and to keep the doors of business open.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Labor has announced its candidate for the Windermere Legislative Council election. Former Federal Bass MP Geoff Lyons will contest the poll, focusing on jobs in the area.
There are just so many opportunities for us in Windermere to really make the most of our opportunities with jobs.
As a former politician and a representative in local government, he brings a wealth of experience to the role and would be a great addition to the upper house.
Incumbent Ivan Dean is yet to formally announce if he will recontest his seat in May. Tasmania's firefighting capabilities have been bolstered by a new specialist intelligence gathering aircraft. The helicopter uses state-of-the-art technology to provide real-time data to crews on the ground.
As firefighters battled displays from the ground and the sky, new equipment was being used to gather intelligence.
What we're talking about here is a military-grade, high-resolution video in real time, fed back into incident management teams.
This helicopter a brand new asset for Tasmania this fire season.
The camera on this aircraft can see through smoke. It can identify if a fire is active or inactive, where our dozer lines are, where we're dropping retardant, if assets are at threat.
State-of-the-art technology that could potentially save property and lives.
We are now many steps ahead of the game, in fact hours ahead of the game when it comes to fire control and community protection.
The aircraft is here as part of a $500,000 contract, part of the $4 million aerial firefighting fleet provided to Tasmania during the fire season, a cost shared by the state and federal governments.
There are 11 aircraft that are under contract to come to Tasmania.
A below-normal fire season has given the TFS an opportunity to learn the capabilities of the aircraft, using it to assist with other emergencies, including the recent floods in the north. But Tasmania's top firefighter has warned not to become complacent.
We came in expecting a normal fire season. Clearly it's been below normal. There is areas up in the Derwent Valley that are of concern. The dryness is still there.
The aircraft will remain in Tasmania until at least the end of the month. Meg Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Today marks 150 years since Tasmania's first rail line opened, a service between Launceston and Deloraine. From carting cabbages and spuds came riots, a government takeover, and then the modern age of rail.
Today, we hail rail, 150 years since the advent of trains in Tasmania. The very first crossing this same bridge in Longford, which itself once held the record as the longest span bridge in the country.
They got the railway from Launceston to Deloraine so they could get the spuds and the cabbages in and probably the turnips and all the other vegetables. I think it was taking them about 9 to 12 days with the old road, which was just probably tracks of dirt.
Steam screamed from trains in those early days. Initially crucial for commerce, passenger services became just as vital until Tasman Limited ceased in 1978.
On her final day, the quaint old lady of the tracks attracted hundreds of people and a storm of protest from politicians and passengers alike over the train's demise.
It wouldn't be the first time the public railed against an injustice. When the original line went bankrupt, the government took over it and tried to recover its debt from landowners.
That caused riots in Launceston, and the government in Hobart sent 6 or 7 armed troopers to the north to quell the rebellion.
Today's trains chart a more peaceful course.
We're moving the most freight we've done in the history of Tasrail. Today's locomotives, highly efficient, environmentally friendly, and have horsepower that can move 2,000 tonne trains quite efficiently.
History nowhere near the end of the line. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
The family lives of Tasmanian quolls will be explored as part of a new local documentary. The Quoll Farm production, which premieres on Sunday, will feature an original soundtrack from the Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra. The score was composed locally and was performed by an ensemble of 10 musicians.
Music is quite gentle because it's this fairly small instrumental combination, and it also suits the intimate nature of the film.
The documentary looks at a colony of eastern quolls and their interactions living with a wildlife expert for a year. Robotic technology is revolutionising how dairy farms in Tasmania operate, reducing labour and easing stress on cows. One farm with a cutting-edge machinery gave school students a glimpse at the industry.
A massage, a meal and a milking. This robotic machine is said to be the future of dairy farming.
Our cows all have ID tags in their ears. They present into a robot stall. The robot then remembers a myriad of information about that cow from prior milkings in terms of the shape of her udder, how much milk it's expecting, and then with the guidance of a laser camera and sensors, it guides a robot arm to put all 4 cups on the cow.
Students and industry today invited to see firsthand how the technology is decreasing the workload for farmers and allowing cows to be milked whenever they want.
We wanted people to get the opportunity to see a robotic dairy in operation and learn about the benefits, the efficiencies, the animal welfare benefits of that system.
Some seeing the process of milking a cow for the first time.
You just think that the milk just comes and it's easy, but it turns out it's not.
If you've got robot milkers, it's a bit easier for you.
Well, I thought I watched on TV, it's just you squeeze the milk into the bucket and there you go, but it's more than that.
This farm has 8 robotic machines, each with the capacity to milk 60 to 70 cows a day, decreasing the amount of time the cow has to wait to be milked.
And creating around 15 million litres of milk a year.
It's a lot of bowls of cereal, yeah, a lot of glasses of milk.
Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
A rematch of 2020's grand final headlines the opening round of this year's TSL with the season fixture released today. Launceston will begin its premiership defence on Good Friday by travelling to UTAS Stadium, where it'll face North Launceston under lights. North Hobart will also host the Tigers on the public holiday, while an Eastern Shore derby is in store for the following day. A revised fixture has seen Tasmania lose 3 scheduled domestic matches. It comes after Cricket Australia made the call to shorten the season, calling it a priority to deliver complete seasons amid bubble fatigue. It means the state will host only 2 matches in each of the Sheffield Shield and Marsh One Day Cup competitions. Cricket Tasmania has called the decision disappointing but understandable. Cyclist Scott Bowden is turning his attention to France for the upcoming season in an ambitious goal to go professional. It comes after the Tasmanian turned in the biggest ride of his career in last weekend's national championships.
Only a wheel and a half separated Scott Bowden from becoming Australian national champion on Sunday.
I knew that the next few seconds could change the rest of my life, so to come so close and then fall short, I was a bit frustrated.
That feeling soon subsided though, realising what he'd achieved.
Yeah, pretty surreal. That race in particular is one that really drew me into cycling when I was young, growing up, watching it on TV.
Here comes Scott Bowden. The gritty ride came in the Rio Olympian's first race for 12 months, having battled illness and injury. After being dropped via email from his old squad Team Bridgelane, he made a last-minute decision to race and was supported by the Tasmanian Institute of Sport.
To do something that I knew within myself I was capable of, but probably hadn't quite shown it to other people. I think that's what made it really special.
Now, he's set to head off on a well-worn path for young Aussies, moving to France this year to ride for an amateur squad, BOWDEN CYCLIST. Though, getting there is proving difficult, with exemptions needed to leave Australia and also to enter France.
At the moment, there's not really any other path, to be honest, because with any of the Australian teams, there's still so much uncertainty.
It's a leap of faith he believes he's well placed for.
I think for me, being a little bit older now, having spent quite a lot of time in France and in Europe and travelling by myself, it's not to say it won't be difficult, but I think I'm prepared for it and certainly looking forward to the challenges that it will present.
With the biggest ride of his career under his belt, it's the perfect time to tackle those challenges. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
And finally in boxing, a women's world title fight will be held in Tasmania for the first time when local Christina Jacobs goes toe-to-toe with her Victorian rival Lorinda Webb next month. The WIBA Super Featherweight world title will be on the line over 10 rounds. It's been 4 years since the pair faced off in the amateur ranks when Jacobs won on points. This time around, she'll have a home crowd on her side.
Yeah, so if I win this fight, I suppose it shows that I can take on the top people.
I would have liked, of course, to be in Bendigo in front of your home crowd, the stadium's quite a large stadium, but I'm just happy to be here and have the opportunity to fight for it.
The fight, dubbed Repeat or Revenge, is at the Hobart City Hall on March 27. Get around it. And that's all in sport, Kim.
Good evening, everyone. 21 degrees in Launceston today, Hobart reaching 20 and 19 in Devonport and Burnie. Across the state, 22 in Grove and Bushy Park, the Islands and Strawn 21, 20 in Smithton and Friendly Beaches, 19 in Low Head and just 16 in Lyon's. Clear skies can be seen right across the state for most of the day today. And further out, cloud associated with a low pressure system can be seen over northern Western Australia with a frontal cloud band over the southwest of Western Australia. Convective cloud and thunderstorms lie over inland areas of southern Queensland. Tomorrow's chart shows the high moving over the Tasman Sea while a low and an associated cold front passes south of the Bight. North to northeasterly winds tomorrow 10 to 20 knots, increasing to 20 to 30 knots about the west and east during the day. And there is a strong wind warning current for western coastal waters from Low Rocky Point to Stanley and for eastern coastal waters from the northern tip of Flinders Island to southeast Cape. Late showers and 26 in Hobart and Cygnet tomorrow, New Norfolk 28. 25 in Launceston and Campbelltown, both also with late showers, Devonport 22. Developing showers and 21 in Burnie and Smithton tomorrow, Strawn a top of 25. And in the east, 23 in St Helens, windy and 25 in Swansea and 24 in Fingal. And the UV tomorrow is very high right across the state. Looking on to Friday now, showers contracting to the west and far south. Showers about the west and far south on Saturday, mainly during the morning. And on Sunday, mainly fine with light afternoon winds. 25 in Perth tomorrow, Adelaide 37, mostly sunny in Canberra and Sydney, and 29 in Brisbane. And it's currently sunny right across the state with Hobart 19, 20 in Launceston and 18 in Devonport. And Kim, that's weather tonight.
Thank you, Chelsea. Good to see you. And that's your news for now. Good night.